Hello, podcast fam. I am thrilled to share some exciting news. My book, So Grow Lead, is officially live on Amazon. This book is more than just my story of starting a nonprofit and building a peanut butter factory in Malawi. So trust me, the ups and downs of that journey are worth the read. It's also packed with practical strategies to help nonprofit leaders like you tackle challenges with clarity, courage, and a whole lot of heart. If you've ever wondered how to turn your vision into reality, navigate the inevitable hurdles, and build something meaningful, whether in your organization or in your own life, this book is for you. I'd be so grateful for your support in spreading the word. Grab your copy of So Grow Lead in the show notes and on Amazon today. Let's keep sowing seeds of impact together. Welcome to the Lead with Heart podcast, which is dedicated to nonprofit leaders who are passionate about making a difference. I'm your host, Haley Cooper, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on a journey of growth, inspiration, and transformation. At Lead with Heart, we believe that leading with heart means embracing empathy, compassion, and authenticity in every aspect of our work. It's about putting people first, fostering genuine connections, and creating a positive impact that goes beyond numbers and metrics. In the nonprofit world, it can often feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. The challenges are immense and the road can be lonely. But here, you're not alone. This podcast is a community where we support each other, share our stories, and learn together. Each episode will dive into personal and professional development topics tailored specifically for nonprofit leaders. From innovative fundraising strategies and effective team management to self-care practices and leadership insights, we're here to provide you with practical strategies that you can apply to your life and work. My goal is to empower you, elevate your leadership, and engage your heart in all that you do. I want to help you navigate the unique challenges of the nonprofit sector with confidence and resilience, so you can continue to create meaningful change in the world. So whether you're driving to a meeting, taking a break, or winding down for the day, tune in and join us on this journey. Together we'll discover what it truly means to lead with heart. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Lead with Heart podcast. This is your host, Haley Cooper. And today I am so thrilled to have Tamra with us, or with me, I should say. Tamra is a powerhouse founder of Tamara McLemore Enterprises, an executive consultant, PMP Instructor, which we're going to talk about what that means, and an award-winning speaker who's revolutionizing the way mid-career professional women approach project management. Through her innovative PMP exam 2-week intensive, Tamra has condensed months of preparation into a streamlined 30-day path to certification. With over 25 years of experience spanning technology, government, and aviation, she has climbed the ranks from project manager to chief impact officer of her own enterprise. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here today.
So PMP is a new term for me, this idea of a PMP certification. I know what it means because I read your bio and your website and everything. But for our listeners, can you share a little bit more about your experience from project manager to chief impact officer and why you decided to go down this path of helping other people become PMP certified?
Absolutely. So the PMP certification stands for the Project Management Professional Certification. And this certification has been around for, I want to say 40, 50 years, for a long time. Traditionally, it started with tech, IT, and then the federal government, of course, and military. And I've been a project manager for over 20 something years. And so I've always known about it. My first time getting the PMP certification, Haley and listeners, I failed. So I failed the first time and then I failed the second time. And because I've been in tech for so long, I understood the weight that it held. And I will tell you, during the last recession, I have an MBA in global technology management with some amazing experience. Let me tell you, I could not get a job. And this is back in the olden days where they would call you to tell you why you didn't get the job. And they would go through my long list of accolades. You have this, you're SAP super user, you're this or this. However, when you however pause, you're like, here it is. They would tell me over and over again that they had to hire somebody who did not even have an undergrad degree. Meanwhile, I have an MBA. So did you just hear what I said? Like, I would get passed over with my MBA because this individual had their PMP certification. So exactly. So I was like, the next opportunity I get, I have got to get this certification. And when I got it, because at first I was like, well, it's just to check that box. No, I was a Beats project manager before the certification, but once you understand the knowledge areas, how to manage a budget more effectively and efficiently, you have that timeline, you have to meet that goal. And once you understand the methodology and the tools that come with the project management curriculum, you're like, should have got this sooner. And so it really does make you a better project manager. So I definitely get the importance and the significance of having it. And the reason why I teach it now is because so many people, especially women, let me say this, especially women, they have so much fear around getting it because they feel like it takes so long. They have families, they have partners, spouses, Asian parents, and they feel like they don't have the time. And so I've condensed it significantly. And I make my boot camps fun. We have a great time. Sometimes we have DJs, we're swapping recipes, drink recipes, food recipes. We have a good time and we become friends and family. And so I just want to help as many women get the certification because that's how you get the raises. That's how you get the promotions. And that's how we decrease this wage gap. So that's why it's so important and significant for me to teach women how to get it.
Wow, that's amazing. And I love that out of your own experience, now you have created something to help other women accelerate through this program so that you can give them more opportunity. And you mentioned one of the key learnings was like how to budget and like how to follow that timeline effectively. What are some of the other core competencies that you have to have when it comes to the PMP certification?
There's so many. There are like 12 knowledge areas. My favorite is risk. I love risk management because people are scared of risk. They think risk is bad, but we understand no risk, no reward. We take risk every day. And so I like to bring up risk in projects. So if we're building a new subdivision or real estate in New Orleans, we already know some of the risk. It's weather. Weather could be snow, it could be hurricanes, but it's always the elephant in the room. So I like bringing up risk. Sometimes risk is we don't have the resources. We don't have the right resources for the opportunity, whatever that is that, you know how we're just in the meeting all quiet, looking at each other like, is she going to say it? Is he going to say it? I'm the one that's going to say it. It might sting a little bit, but it has to be said. And so I turn it around and make it the glass half full. So risk management is one of the core knowledge areas. One of the biggest ones now, which a lot of people don't even know, is people management. Because project managers, we are so amazingly well at managing projects, but the people part sucks sometimes. So that is a new part of the curriculum, and it's 42% of the curriculum. That's significant. Exactly. So that's managing your resources internally. That's managing your contractors. That's managing your vendors. That is managing the public. There's so many aspects to people that we have to manage. And whether we say it or not, we're bringing our whole self to work. And so just understanding it is not a machine that's doing the work. They're people. And so that's one of my new favorite knowledge areas. My friends that are executives of HR, they would tell you I've come a long way because before I'm like, they should be motivated because they get a check on the 1st and the 15th. Well, guess what, Tamra? That is not the way to motivate people. Like I said before, we're all human and we bring our whole selves to work.
Yes. And I love talking about people management on the podcast. I mean, that's why I have one called Lead with Heart. And I think that my clientele or my listeners are mostly nonprofits, and there's high turnover in nonprofits. And according to the social impact report that came out recently, 70% of individuals are looking to leave the nonprofit sector. So I want to dive into this topic a little bit more and, you know, what you have learned along the way about people management now that, like, before you had the certification and now as you've evolved into a Chief Impact Officer, what are some of the key lessons that you've learned along the way?
I've learned that project management is for everybody. And ironically enough, the first person that ever passed a mock exam ever in one of my boot camps, guess where she came from? What industry? Nonprofit.
Oh, wow.
It blew the whole class away, even me. And like I said, this had never happened. And she passed a 4-hour, 200-question mock exam straight out the gate. She passed her first mock. And the reason why is because she worked in nonprofit where you have a tight budget. You have to manage either the grant or wherever you're getting your funding from. You have to manage that effectively. And her project that she was currently working on was the website. And because they had not gathered the requirements properly, they didn't even have a mechanism to receive funding or for somebody to donate. Like, that is your whole mission, but they had not relayed that to the vendor that they hire. So you see where that disconnect is. And so every day in boot camp, she's like, oh my gosh, I needed this today. So the very next day, she was going to use the methodology that she learned. In addition to that, her child was under 2 years old. So if you have a toddler, you have no time to waste. So she had a 2-year-old, had just gotten married. And so that is a project because we know we have champagne taste and beer money. So she was getting the project management gems really quickly. Fast forward, right now I have a mastermind, and these are a group of women that have passed my PMP boot camp. One of my star candidates in my boot camp, she works in nonprofit. And like you said, she has wanted to leave the industry, but we've convinced her to stay, but do things a little different. And so, because we need nonprofits to impact the missions that you guys are impacting. And so I have a ton of women now, and I will say healthcare, nonprofit, and education are the fastest growing industries that really require project managers now.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And thank you for sharing. Yes, I am people management. I have 3 young kids. So that is my day-to-day job, is managing little people as well as big adults as well. As someone with over 25 years of experience across industries like technology, federal government, and aviation, like I mentioned when I introduced you, what unique leadership lessons have you carried into your work today?
Ooh, that everybody is an individual. And these projects have massive people, sometimes 50 to 75 people. But I have to manage them all accordingly. I can't just lump them in categories like I used to. Traditionally, I'm a female. However, project management, especially in the tech industry, has traditionally been male. So I was raised in corporate with a kind of a male mindset. Like, you come to work, you do your job, you go home, you suck it up. And I've had to soften myself and learn the people management part. I have a lot of people that have kids, young kids. I call them, they can't microwave. And so you have to be understanding that they're going to drop their kids off and they don't need to ask me. I don't let anybody ask me, can they take off? Can they do this with their child? When they're in the summertime or in the spring, I know that I have a large population that are going to start college tours. When they try to ask me, I'm like, do not ask me. This is a time where you should not feel ashamed to take off with your child to go across the country to do the college visits. And so the vacations in the summertime, I'm like, take 2 or 3 weeks. And so that people part of me, I have grown a lot. But you have to rest. So for example, I just finished a boot camp. As we're recording this the week after Thanksgiving, I had a ton of people taking trips for Thanksgiving and they wanted to study. I forbid anybody to open a book or work while they're on vacation. It is not allowed. You have to come back well rested. You have to spend time with your family. So that's the people part of me that has grown significantly.
Yeah, I love that. And I think sometimes people need permission to rest. So if you're listening to this, we're recording this in December. So it is the head of year-end rush, and it is okay to rest. In fact, it's good for you because you'll come back more creative and you'll be able to, like you said in the beginning, take more risks. And I would love to dive deeper into that idea of risk management because, like in nonprofits, you mentioned like they're strapped for resources and taking those risks seem really daunting. So with this certification, how does it give the confidence to any leader or any manager to be able to even start to think that it's okay to take risks. In fact, you should on behalf of your community to make it better.
Absolutely. And so when we get to risk management, it's actually an opportunity if you think about it, because if there's no risk, there's no reward. I have friends that are scared to invest and they're like, I'm too scary to invest. I don't want money. I'm like, well, what do you think your 401k is doing? Somebody's investing it. They're taking a risk. And when they look at it like that, they're like, oh my gosh, I am already taking risks. One of the riskiest things we can do is drive, and we do it every day. So I'm old school. We're going to write the pros and the cons. I just got off of 2 calls, and one of them is in nonprofit. One of them works for a government sector. And once you write those pros and the cons, you can clearly see the opportunity. Because like you said, Haley, when you're thinking about it, we have so much in our brain. We have laundry to do. We have household chores, let alone work. But if you can write out the potential opportunity, whoa, if we go down this avenue, we can potentially impact so many more people. Let's explore this. And once you understand the risk and you mitigate them, meaning reduce them, then perhaps this is a good idea to do. But when it's in black and white, it just becomes really clear and you start knocking down those risks and mitigating the risk.
Yes, I love a good list.
Yes.
To-do list, a pros and cons list, any kind of list. You've spoken at events like the Wonder Woman Tech Summit and appeared on prestigious platforms like the Harvard Business Review. How have these experiences shaped your approach to empowering mid-career women in project management?
It has really fueled me to continuously do this. I'm not going to say this is easy, but every time I get an email, an inbox saying that I helped their career, or they asked for the raise, or they took, instead of 1-week vacation, 2-week vacation, or they spoke up in a meeting, it just fuels me. Like I said, we all know that traditionally women, we don't speak up, we don't ask for raises, promotions, vacation. I have quite a few women. We talk about IVF all day, every day, egg freezing. We look at these benefits from the organization. What are they providing us? We're giving them so much of ourselves. What are they giving back? And so hopefully I answered your question, but it just fuels me. And I will say, Haley, traditionally project management was for, I don't want to say the worker bees, but the people that are actually doing the work. However, now more and more, it is required with executives. I have a ton of people that are retiring and want to use it to consult. I have a lot of people in government who are SES or Senior Executive Service, which is really high up in the government. They're getting their PMP certification. I have another person, a couple people let theirs expire because they're moving up in management. They're like, oh, I won't need it anymore. Sure enough, now they need it because they want to move up to director or the C-suite, because project management teaches us the bird's eye view, how to be strategic. So yes, it's getting the work done, but you also can work across business lines and you just see things different from an organizational structure.
Imagine a fundraising partner that not only helps you raise more money, but also supports you in retaining your donors. A partner that helps you raise funds both online and on location so you can grow your impact faster. That's DonorBox, a comprehensive suite of tools, services, and resources that give fundraisers just like you a custom solution to tackle your unique challenges, helping you achieve the growth and sustainability your organization needs, helping you help others. Visit donorbox.org to learn more. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And we talked a little bit about people management and project management and how you have to blend both. So let's say someone is traditionally a project manager, but has taken the certification and they don't necessarily like to people manage. Not everyone likes to do it. How can they blend or bridge that gap to become an excellent people manager while also managing projects? Or can they separate the two?
Well, it's very difficult to separate the two. Trust me, I've tried because I was one of those people. And pretty much that was the only thing when I was in the corporate and in government that I would ever get called in the office was the people skills. I'm a great coach and a great motivator when I felt like it. But we have to do this constantly as a people manager. But the project management certification, it actually gives you the tools. It really does. And it really breaks it down. Like I said, it's 42% of the exam. And so we spend a lot of time. There are things you already are doing. And you have to think about it. Like we said, if somebody goes on a well-rested vacation, they come back better. They come back energized with new ideas, ready to, okay, now I'm ready to knock this project out of the box versus being burnt out. So when you see that burnout, when somebody's sick or get the sniffles and they're scared to call in, make them leave and make them take 2 or 3 days so that they can get their energy back. So that part, once you really get it, you're going to do it and it's going to be second nature. Trust me, I was there. Trust me, I have been there, not wanting to do it. If I can change, anybody can change.
Yes, I totally agree. I have been there where I've had someone direct report to me and I'm emailing them while they're at home sick and they're like, is this urgent? I'm like, no, I'm so sorry. Don't have to respond to me. It was just on my head. But it's that mindset of, okay, I have to think about, should I send this email? Can it wait? What is the urgency of this situation? And respecting that person for having the boldness to call out to be sick.
Absolutely. So I woke up this morning about 4:30 or 5, and I was so tempted to start responding to texts and doing. I was like, no, because they're going to feel obligated because a lot of people don't have their phones on Do Not Disturb. And I did not want them to feel obligated. So I'm very careful with that because as their manager or leader, they're going to, okay, this is urgent. No, like you said, you're just trying to get it off your brain or you have time or you're awake. But that's not how they receive it. So really understanding the communication, which is a huge part of project management. Communication is 90% of project management. 90%.
Let's dive into that a little bit more because in nonprofit specifically, it's pretty known that most nonprofit departments operate in silos and it's really hard to bridge that gap and communicate. And in my career, I've made a very meaningful decision to try to bridge that gap because I don't want to just show up at my program director's door and be like, knock, knock, knock. Have you met your outcomes? Or I need a story, right? Relationships are first, and it comes with that authentic communication. So can you talk a little bit more about what that looks like in project management? Because you said it was 90%. That is huge.
It is huge. And a lot of people get scared because they're like, I'm introvert because traditionally project management is people in tech. However, you don't always have to talk to people, but that I am. How are you doing? I was thinking about you. Oh, I saw this article. I thought you would be interested. And I mean, generally just, having that check-in. I have all the people that I coach do coffee chats on a regular basis. We don't need this agenda about this report. It does not need to be all about work. It needs to be about professional development. I'm just checking in. What trips have you taken? Whatever that commonality is, that's what we need to do because that know, like, and trust factor, when it comes time and you're going to need their resource or you're going to need their time or they're going to have to come to this meeting, you can't always be asking people for things. So when you said silo, I cringed and actually taught on that last night. The whole class was looking at me like it was a bad word. I'm like, it kind of is. Like literally, we're cross-functional and that's how we should operate. And we don't work with our heads down when it's time to ask somebody for something. Now we're heads up. It does not work that way. So you always have to work on relationships, even work relationships. And I'm not saying being best friends. To the listeners, that is not what I'm saying. We don't need to go on a shopping spree or a trip together. I'm saying building that work relationship.
Yeah, I was on I do EMC leadership training and it's all about understanding the language of emotions. And I was doing a board training. They're like, wait, we have to be friends? Like we have to be best friends? I was like, no, you just have to be respectful and honor that person and honor their presence in the room. It's not like you have, like you said, you don't have to be best friends, but you do have to be respectful.
Absolutely. And it can just start with a comment like, oh my gosh, look at your hair is gorgeous. Oh, are those new glasses? I need some new glasses. Like it should just be natural. It should not be forced. Asking them for a dissertation. What did you have on your Thanksgiving or what are you doing for Christmas, the New Year? It does not need to be a dissertation if you're not interested in that. But we all have something in common. We work at the same organization. You can find something.
Definitely. I also think a part of project management is feedback. And so I think a lot of people just in general in management positions, they get feedback or they want to facilitate that feedback. And then they're like, what do we do with this information? Or it falls flat and it's not really utilized. So is that a part of the PMP certification? And how do you help coach people to facilitate that upward feedback?
Your questions are so timely. I talked about this yesterday and I coached some people yesterday on this. It is to the point where the women that I'm coaching, guess what? They're excited about feedback because one, she has a check-in with her manager and her VP, and she's excited. She's like, oh, Tamra, I got feedback, so I can go ahead. I have a scheduled call on Wednesday, and so I can ask them these questions. I want you to be excited about feedback. Feedback is not always negative, and that's just like risk is not always negative. And here's the thing. If we want to improve on something, we want people to be straightforward and tell us, well, you did good with this. We want more of that and less of this, or continue to do this. I'm always asking for feedback. So once again, the glass half full. What am I doing okay? How can I improve? Let's talk about where I want to go. Where do you see me? You should come prepared for the feedback and give them feedback. Give them feedback, constructive feedback, but you should be excited to learn. That's my strengths finder. My number one strength finder is a learner. I'm a learner. So I'm excited to give feedback. And that's how I coach my clients.
Yeah, I think I've been there where I think feedback is criticism. And I'm like so scared to go into those meetings cringing because I'm like, what? And it's just, I've had to change that mindset that feedback is a good thing and I need it in a constructive way so that I can improve myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the person that I coached yesterday, she got some constructive feedback and she's checking in to see how she's doing on improving that. And like I said, it's exciting. She was very excited. I was like, okay, that is a 360 from where she was a year ago. Like you said, all cringed up and not looking forward to it.
So on that kind of note, how can project managers provide that constructive feedback? Are there specific things they can say or ways they can go about providing that feedback? And then the opportunity for that person to have that professional development or learning so it doesn't just fall flat with, this is what I need you to do.
Yes. And so when you have a regular check-in, it starts to be organic. You start to get used to it, whether it's every 2 months, every 3 months. You need to have a regular check-in that is already on the calendar. That way it's not, oh my God, Haley, put something on my calendar. What does this mean? And now you're starting to spiral out of control. If it's already on there and you get on the call, you have an agenda, they have an agenda. Meaning, what are we going to talk about? Is it professional development? I want to go to this conference. I want to do X, Y, Z. And so that is the way I have people look at it. And then you want to give, of course, some positive feedback first. You always want to start with the good stuff. And then you want to start with, you could have done that a little better. But a lot of times I bring it up first, Haley, because don't we know when we're like, Dad, I missed the ball on that one, or I could have done better. I don't criticize myself. I'm not saying that. However, I do bring to the table, you know what? I thought I prepared enough for this meeting or this presentation. In hindsight, I should have done a little more research. I should have presented this based on the questions that the audience asked. And a lot of times they're like, that's what I was going to say, but you already said it. Let's move on. Mm-hmm. It's a non-factor.
Oh, that's so good. And like you said, and in the beginning, in your world, tech world was mostly male dominated. And you also spoke about how a lot of women are afraid to speak up, afraid to ask for more. And trust me, I have been there. You're speaking to me. And I think a lot of women face self-doubt and imposter syndrome, especially in male-dominated industries. So how do you address these barriers in your coaching? And what's your advice for overcoming them?
Oh, so the first thing I start with when I meet with a potential candidate, I take so many notes. And I love people with kids. I start with, do you have kids? How old are they? I want to get to know them, but I'm secretly going to use their kids against them in a good way, Some people are paying $25,000 for kindergarten. Kindergarten can be expensive. I have clients that have twins. A lot of people, their kids are going to high school or college. They're going to need a car, tuition. And so sometimes women can't do it for themselves, but they can do it for their kids. Mm-hmm. And so if they don't have kids, it's what is their why? And it could be a partner or a spouse or want to start a side business, whatever that why is. When they feel scared or don't want to do it, we bring up that why, and it gives them the courage to do it. And it's just like going to the gym. Once you exercise that muscle a couple of times, Haley, then you're like, okay, this is not bad. I'm ready for a performance review. I want to see how much my raise is. I'm going to ask for 20% increase. Most of my clients, they're asking for 20 or 30% increases because they're severely underpaid. I have them do analysis on what they should be paid, and they realize they're severely underpaid. I have women in nonprofit that are bringing millions of dollars and are getting pennies. It is so expensive to replace somebody. So once you outline, this is what it's, I mean, you're not saying this is how much it's going to replace me, but you kind of are. When you can break down things in bullets, and this is what I'm asking for, this is just a drop in the bucket for what I'm providing the organization. It's a no-brainer to keep you and give you the increase.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I think, isn't it like double your salary to hire someone new? I think is the number. Are there any resources that you, if someone is in this position, and I had Shannon talk about this on the podcast a few episodes ago, but are there, and she does coaching around asking for pay raises. And so are there any resources when people are doing that cost analysis to present to their managers? Do you have any resources that you go to?
Absolutely. LinkedIn is your friend. LinkedIn is your friend. That's the number one resource. But I make women talk about money. Like I said, I grew up in a male-dominated industry. My mentors and my sponsors, they show me their check stubs. They open up their leave statements. I'm like, whoa, you're making this much? They're like, yeah, and you need to go ask for X, Y, Z. And so women, we have to start being comfortable talking about money. We just have to. And like I said, once you exercise that muscle and you realize the person sitting next to you is making $30,000, $40,000 more, that should be motivation enough to ask. And I tell women, don't do a dissertation. Don't go in begging. You deserve this. This is what they should have already been doing. And you put it in bullets. I have reduced XYZ. I have increased XYZ. This is what I have brought to the table. And 3, no more than 5 bullets, and bam. It's the end. Here you go. Here's your raise. Here's your increase.
Yeah, I love that. I think it is going in with that confidence as well, that you deserve this.
Absolutely. And then when your high schooler needs a car and you don't want to have another car note, you need to buy a car that's in cash. Won't that give you the confidence to go in and ask for the money? Absolutely. I think it will. And I've used it on people and it works.
Yes. Kids are excellent at feedback and motivation for you to hustle. So your journey we've talked about from project manager to chief impact officer of your own business is really inspiring. What key decisions or moments were pivotal in making this transition? And like you said, you help other women. So how do you motivate other women to do the same?
I motivate them. Let me start with what motivates me. Because sometimes, Haley, to be honest, I am tired. Or I'm like, I can go back to corporate and just have an easy breezy and just glide on through retirement. But when I get that text that they have gotten a $30,000 increase, I have emails from women that got a $50,000 increase. I have clients, 63,000, I think is the highest. That can change a household. I have a client now, she's interviewing, the potential will have doubled her income. And so that motivates, you just said, wow, exactly. So that motivates me to get up, even when I don't want to, because I understand I am changing and impacting households. So that's what motivates me. I cannot stop this. Matter of fact, I need to increase it so that more women can get their coins.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, like you said, it can change a household, change a community, change a whole generation.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Is there anything else that you would like people to know about the PMP certification and how it can benefit them in the work that they do?
Absolutely. One thing is a lot of people subscribe to these myths on Google University and the Wild Web, is what I call it. Almost everybody qualifies for the PMP certification. So many women, we count ourselves out. You have the qualifications. You do not need the title. You have managed a project from beginning to end. You have managed that initiative. You have managed that event. There's so much that women are managing. that we are qualified to get the certification. That's the first thing I have to say. And if you want the certification, it can be done in less than 30 days. And it is not to just benefit your employer, it is to benefit you. What women realize after they get the certification, I want your listeners to hear this very clear. After their 9 to 5, they can quit their 5 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
She got it. She got it.
So good.
That means you don't have to log on. I had a client, she works in nonprofits still. She was in the boot camp. She works 7 days a week, 7 days a week, even on Sunday, at least 10 to 12 hours. Somebody in the boot camp told her to do some math. They were like, divide how many hours you work a week by how much you make. She gasped. She was in tears. She uncontrollably just upset. She came to the conclusion she might as well go to McDonald's or Burger King and make the same amount.
Wow.
So that's what I want to leave your listeners with. We can make an impact. However, we don't have to kill ourselves and be absent from our family, because you are, even though you're at home, you're absent from your family if you continue to work ineffectively and inefficiently. And the project management certification is the key.
Yes, that is so good. It's such a good way to end this podcast and remind people that it's okay and that is their right. If people want to learn more about you and your 2-week intensive, how can they find you?
They can find me at iwantmypmp.com. It is just very simple. iwantmypmp.com. On the website, Haley, your podcast is going to be there. I'm going to have a free questionnaire, a free quiz, which will tell you if you're qualified for the PMP certification. I'm also going to have a fundamentals class, and you can set up a one-on-one with me as well if you want to just talk some things through. And it's free. I do not charge for a consultation. So that's where they can find me.
Well, thank you so much. We will make sure to link to all that in the show notes and on our social posts. I've really appreciated this conversation, and I have learned about a whole new thing that can empower women.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to share the gems with your audience.
If you have valued these stories or learned something from what you've heard, please share this podcast episode or follow me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your support, and together we can build a better community and world.